Hi everybody, it's Sarah Cray with Let's Make Art and I teach watercolor. And today we are doing our Let's Make Art Matter postcard for our Winter Wonderland box. Now in this, and well, if you're new to what we do here, in every single one of our boxes we have a pre-addressed and pre-stamped watercolor postcard. So you can paint a painting on that postcard and send it to a recipient. We choose the same person for that box so they can get an influx of art hugs, is what we like to call them.
Art hugs.
Art hugs. And so this month our recipient is Sarah, who is a military service member, and I just wanted to do a big thank you for the people who serve our country. They put themselves in a precarious situation so that we can have a safe and free country. And especially around this time during our holidays where they're not with their families, I think it's important for us to show gratitude and send them some love so they know that they're appreciated. And so they know that we're grateful that we can spend time with our families safe in our homes. Okay?
Okay.
So we are doing a night, winter, magical forest scene.
Wow.
I know, I'm really excited about this project. And actually, if you watched our tutorials from the previous projects for this box, Keenan and I were playing with the salt and seeing what happens if you soak it in the paint first and then drop it in. And we were talking about how maybe that can make a cool night sky.
Totally.
And so we decided to do it for this project.
Which is amazing.
Which is so
it's
fun.
Serendipitous.
Yeah.
Actually,
I don't know if it is. It was planned.
I don't know what it means. I don't know what serendipitous means.
You're doing great, Keenan.
I've seen the movie Serendipity.
Is that it?
That's all I have for you today.
Okay, so we're using our colors from that that box, and those colors are, and I'm not going to swatch them because hopefully you're familiar with them at this point. We have space blue, yellow ochre, amethyst, pine green, and bleed-proof white. To do this project, we're going to paint our sky first, then put in our yellow stars, put in our trees in our ground, and then put in our main tree here, like our sharp, like this is the guy we're looking at.
The standing tree tall.
That's right. Standing tree tall. You got it. That sounds good.
I think it's Monday.
Yep. It's not. It's Thursday. Okay. So I'm going to use my 1-inch wash brush for my sky. And if you guys want to, you can sketch out like your horizon line. I didn't sketch anything out. I'm keeping this loose. I'm keeping this fun. And look how cool the rough texture I got on this horizon. That was from my brush. So basically when I paint my sky, I'm just going to make sure I do about 2/3. 2/3 of the top of my painting. I'm going to grab my 1-inch wash brush. I'm going to grab space blue, tiny bit of amethyst, tiny bit of yellow ochre.
Ooh, that was a plot twist I was not ready for.
So the reason for that is because I'm trying to desaturate this blue a little bit. If I add just yellow ochre, it's going to make it green. If I add just purple, it's just going to make it like a purple blue. But purple and yellow are complementary colors. They'll like gray out. And so by mixing both of them together, I'm desaturating my blue. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So now I have this blue. And you're going for a medium value here. You don't want to go too dark because we still want to paint the trees on top so you can see them, but you don't want to go too light. We want to make it clear that it is nighttime. So medium value, taking my brush. And I have a piece of paper underneath. And I grabbed more water because my brush was too dry. You can tell by the textures. Work it back and forth. I'm going to keep going till about there. Okay, so there's my sky. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab salt. And I want a big blob right in the middle here. That's where my big star is going to be. And then besides that, I'm just going to do little pieces here and there. And while it's still wet like this, I'm going to drop in some yellow ochre on top of that salt. And we're just going to see what it does. This is kind of like the nerve-wracking part because you're like, I don't know if it's going to spread like crazy. I don't know if it's going to do anything. I don't know, but I thought it would just be fun to try. So that one's starting to spread. You see that main one?
It's growing. What's crazy is, and I don't understand, is how it doesn't turn green.
I don't know. I mean, look at that. That looks like a nice little yellow burst right there, too.
I know.
Now, we do have bleed proof white, and we'll go back in with this like big center star. So don't get too caught up if you're just like, mine doesn't even look round. It's like this weird shape.
I mean, that kind of looks like a bent pizza slice.
It does.
It's going to become a star soon.
Don't worry about it. We'll go back into it. We'll fix it. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my trees. So if you remember our winter forest tutorial where we did layers of trees, it's that same kind of idea. We're going to put some trees in that we want to be a little bit fuzzy and a little bit lighter in value, and then we'll layer that with darker value trees. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this blue that I mixed here. Let's add some pine green to it, maybe a little yellow ochre, and we'll start putting in our trees. I'm using around 6. Put there. Put some here, boop. And I'm kind of like, when I put in trees, I like to make sure that I pay attention to my heights and vary the heights. And I don't put all of my trunks in first. I kind of just start. Put some here and there, and then my painting informs me as I go. So after I'm done putting in like the bodies of the trees on these, then I'll decide, okay, where should I put my next tree?
Oh. So you start with sticks.
I start with sticks. Give them shape. Give them a body.
Give them life.
Give them life, and then figure out where I need to put other ones. And the reason why I do that is, one, it gives me an opportunity to adjust my colors and my values, because I'm putting them in at different times, and I can adjust my composition. Because sometimes if you put the base in first and it's completed, you're kind of committing to that. You're committing to what you just put down. And so I like to do little pieces at a time. Maybe that's just showing my problem with commitment, but I always like to adjust and change my mind as I go. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, if you're familiar with that Winter Wonderland tutorial Winter Forest tutorial that I just mentioned, we didn't do the part where we drop in the color and just let it bleed. We didn't do that part, so I just want to call attention to that. You're free to try that if you want. I just didn't feel like it was necessary for this tutorial. Okay, so now I'm looking in between where my trees are, and I'm going to do lighter value trees because we want those to be behind the trees I just put in. And pay attention to your spacing. Remember that your brain is going to want to make them evenly spaced, but try not to do that. Can we try the side angle? See if that glare, I can hold this up. There we go.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Is that better, you guys? I know with watercolor, sometimes it's so wet, it's tricky to see really what's going on.
Did you want me to answer that question?
Which one?
Is that better, you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. I wasn't sure, because only I can respond. I'm alone over here.
All right, that's true. You speak for the people, Keenan.
The people.
Like the Lorax speaks for the trees. Are you
Not
familiar?
Familiar with the Lorax.
Ah, what a shame.
I'm really sorry.
I forgive you.
Thank you. It's the most difficult forgiveness I've ever given.
I won't forgive you for the soggy cereal or the fast break Reese's, but I'll forgive you for the Lorax.
Wait a second. You're the one judging me for those preferences.
You don't need my forgiveness. You're like, I'm not sorry
I don't
about
care.
those.
I love those things. Literally my favorite.
That's fine. Your taste buds just aren't there yet.
Okay.
One day you will need.
One day you'll grow up.
Okay, so I keep putting in my trees. I'm being kind of loose with them. I'm adjusting the heights. I'm playing with different colors. I have some blue, I have some green, I have some lighter values and darker value ones. I'm gonna put in my darkest value ones in a little bit. I'm just kind of filling the rest of the area in before I do that. Let's do another one here. You can even play with how far they go down on the ground. I guess technically this one would be behind, like higher up than this green one because it's farther away. So let's make this green one taller. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Because because I just changed the look of it entirely by adding that on the bottom. Man, it's so cool how they just appear out of the background though.
Okay. Okay, and we're gonna let that dry. While that dries, I'm gonna put in kind of our rough brush texture ground on the bottom here. So I'm mixing a dark value on my palette by mixing all the colors, and then I'm kind of wiping my brush either on the palette or a paper towel to get rid of that excess color. And I'm just gonna do horizontal strokes, give that rough texture there. And if you want to drop in darker color here and there and just let that bleed, go for it. Okay.
Cool.
And now I'm going to switch to my 2 and start doing my foreground trees, ones that we want sharp, we want these the darkest value, we want to spend a little bit more time on their overall shape, give them some good detail. So I'm switching to my 2. I'm mixing like a dark blue-green. And I want to make sure that it's dry wherever I'm going to paint. So I'm going to do a tree here. Start with your stem. When you do the top, do tiny little boop, boop, boop. And then as you go out, let your brush strokes get thicker, bigger. Ooh, it's still a little wet here, but that's okay. I still think it's workable. Dang, that side camera is just glare.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna sit it up for a second. Does that drip? Let's see if I can paint holding it up.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a tree. Let's do a tree over here. Oh. And if you guys need some detailed instruction or a really nice close-up of how I did a tree, there's actually a pretty decent one in that winter forest tutorial where I did just a little tree while we were waiting for the background to dry.
Good practice session.
Yeah, good little practice. Okay, and I think I'm ready for my big one.
The big tree.
The big tree. I don't know why it's easier. So when I do, I've just noticed that I'm turning my paper to the side. When I do horizontal or like long, thin lines, it's easier for me to go across than up and down. I feel like I have better control of my brush.
Oh.
That's a personal preference. So if you notice when I'm doing long, thin lines, I turn my paper because it's easier for me to be like, nice long, thin line there. Some people do better going up and down, going vertical. That's up to you. So you guys decide what works and feel good for you, and it's not wrong. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm just doing dashes, playing with my mark making, making sure they overlap. Now I am getting, just so you guys know, I am getting a little bit of like a texture on my paper. Do you see that?
Just slightly.
Just slightly. I am not entirely sure why, but I'm not mad about it. I feel like it kind of adds a cool thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to worry about it. So now I'm kind of using the full belly of my brush to do these marks. You could probably even switch to a 6 at this point, but I don't know. Sometimes I like just not having to switch back and forth in between brushes. Okay, and we'll do a side cam held up so you guys can see that without glare.
Nice.
There we go. And if you want to do little marks off the edges on some of these, go for it. There we go, that feels good. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use our bleed proof white. You can put in some other stars, some just white stars, like boop. I mean snow. We're putting in snow.
Oh.
My bad.
We have yellow stars.
We have yellow stars. I guess these could also read as stars.
Yeah,
I'm
they
doing
could.
Snow. Just kind of drifting down. If you want to splatter, you can. I decided not to, because I get kind of dangerous with some splattering of snow.
That's true. We've got a lot of screens around here.
Got a lot of hurt devices. Okay, and now what I'm going to do with my star in the middle is I'm going to see if I can lift up that salt that's there, just so it's easier to paint on. And I want to do almost like a glare, as in, you know how like the little lines come out of something like it's a glare? So I'm going to take my bleed proof white.
Like a burst.
Yeah. And I'm going to put it in the center here, like white, right at the top. And this is where it's tricky because bleed proof white is thick. It comes nice and thick, which means if you want it to be smooth on your paintbrush, you have to water it down a little bit. But if you water it down too much, it's no longer opaque. So it's kind of a balance. So I'm getting it wet enough that I can easily move it on my brush, but not so wet that you can't tell it's white anymore. And then I'm going to do a lineup. Line to the side. Line to the other side. Kind of like a star, you know?
Mm-hmm. Thought of another term for it? Flare.
Oh, yeah.
Before I got glasses, that's what every light looked like.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that was wrong.
You're like, oh.
I was like, oh, they're circular.
And then if you want to even like make that yellow ochre pop a little bit more, you can drop yellow ochre right over that white too.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm going to do it on some of these stars again. Look at that.
Sweet.
And then we'll take our bleed proof white and our round 2 and I'm going to put a little bit of snow on my trees. Just to show this is a form that is catching the snow. We got layers. But I'm not going too crazy with the details here. And you want to make sure, now my dark value trees are still pretty wet. So I'm not going to add snow on those guys until they are dry. I'm going to break up some of these marks that I made. was fun.
Yes.
That was a fun painting. Really happy with how this one turned out. All right, let's try putting snow on these trees. There we go.
Nice.
Our night, which we actually call this project so they know what to.
A night. It's got to be something night-ish.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Holiday night?
Holiday night.
Holiday night.
Gingerbread cookie night.
Yes.
Completely unrelated except for night.
Okay, so that is our hair and all. We'll flip that around so we have a nice clean
Oh, but I love the rough edge.
I know, the rough edge is nice. Okay,
Wow,
there's our card.
that's so nice.
Isn't it fun?
Yes.
I hope you guys have fun with this project. I really hope you take the time to do it. And then send this in the mail to Sarah so she knows that we appreciate her. We're so thankful for her and what she's doing for our country. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
One little note, you guys, your painting is going to dry and you're going to have salt on it. If your painting is totally dry, you're welcome to brush it off or knock it off. I kind of just hit the card on the paper and go up and down. Or leave it on if it's not a big deal. And if you're nervous about sending postcards in the mail and you want some sort of protective against weather and water, we sell a wax medium called Dorland's Wax Medium. It's a wax that you just rub onto your paintings, and after that wax dries, water does not affect the painting. It's really wonderful, and it's perfect for sending postcards in the mail because then you don't have to worry about water damage, especially in this weather.
Super cool.
Because it's winter.
Yeah,
you know?
when you're shipping stuff in the gingerbread night time frame, you gotta protect it with some Dorland's wax.
That's right. All right, well, thank you guys so much for painting with me. I hope you take the time to do this project. If you have anyone in mind that you think could use an art hug from Let's Make Art, you can nominate them. Go to our website, letsmakeart.com, scroll down to the very bottom, and there should be a nominate button there. I appreciate you guys for taking the time to do this. I think art has the power to connect us with each other and show that there is kindness and there is empathy and there is love and there is encouragement. And you don't have to write the perfect thing. Just something handmade is good.
Perfect.
Just lets people know you're thinking about them, and that matters. Okay, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.